Hello everyone and welcome back to the F2 show by Inside F2. It's an F2 show special today. Joining Aaron and I, we've got the Formula 2 Championship leader, Josh Dürksen. Josh, how does that sound? Championship leader, what a way to kick off the season.
Hi, Fraser, and Aaron. Nice to be here again. And yeah, of course, sounds good. I hope it can stay like this at the end of the season. For sure, we have 26 races to go, but for sure, to say it is really nice. But there's still a long season to go, so we will keep working hard to maintain this position at the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to us about the Australian weekend then. I mean, it was a pretty chaotic weekend, wasn't it? Obviously, with no feature race, but yeah, qualifying obviously went reasonably well. And then the sprint race went even better.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I think I got quite lucky this weekend. For sure, on the qualifying, this was not ideal. P9. I mean, I was expecting a bit more coming from free practice with a P3. I was like, okay, for sure, top five is reasonable, is feasible as well. And with the P9 at the moment, I was not really happy. But then I thought, okay, it's a P2 for the sprint race. I've got big chances there. And then yeah, luckily I could get the race win, and sadly the future race got cancelled. But at the end, it actually it even helped me, let's say, no, to keep the position on the standings. And it was also funny because I remember after the future race. I was talking to Gabriele Mini and he was like, "Oh, mate, your strategy was perfect." I was like, "Yeah, I think I got the jackpot, like I qualified P9. This gave me basically front row for the sprint race, and then I could make a good race, and that's it, no? So yeah, for sure, quite nice, really good race. But still, there's some work to do.
I mean, Josh, talk to us about the start of the sprint race. You absolutely nailed that. It was such a brilliant getaway. At what point did you realize I'm taking the lead here? I'm into the first corner. I'm going on to lead this race.
Straight away after I felt the kick of the car. Like you said, the race start was amazing. I just felt like a big kick, and the tires were just gripping. I didn't feel any wheel spin, so I was like, "Wow, this is a great launch." And I was like, I was 100% sure I would get him there. And I actually had already kind of a feeling on the formation lap. I was like, okay, the track is quite grippy, the tires are quite hot. I was like, for sure I can have a good grip now for the race start. And it was like this, and yeah, it was just really great, to be honest. It felt so good having that. And yeah, for sure I think this race start was really key to give me this race win, no? Because I saw that Fornaroli and Browning, they were quite fighting each other. Like Browning, I had the feeling Browning had a tendency to have a better pace than Fornaroli in the race, but he couldn't really overtake. So then I realized, wow, this was really a key moment, which decided, I think, my race, no, to overtake on the lap one, and from this moment on, just to keep position.
And did you know that once you got in front, that you'd be able to keep the position because overtaking was so tricky, even with four DRS zones in Australia? We saw in the Formula 3 race it was tricky to overtake, and we saw in the sprint race it wasn't easy, but it was possible. But obviously breaking that DRS 1 second was critical as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, during the race, I was like, I was thinking, okay, overtaking must be really possible here. So I was like, just pushing as far as I can just to break this 1 second gap. And but now, after I reviewed the race, after I watched it back again, I saw like, wow, okay, the DRS was not actually as strong as I thought. But still, I was just like on the mindset of, okay, I will try to create the biggest gap possible just to be safe, and so I can just manage my race. I can do my own race, and this is what happened. And yeah, to be honest, I was quite happy that I could get out of the DRS, because I think this gave me a bit of more of a relaxed race, let's say. But still, the pressure was on because I still had to push just to keep this gap, to not reduce it again. But yeah, it went quite well.
And speaking of the gap, it seemed like every time you pulled a gap, it was a pretty chaotic race, and we ended up with a safety car or some kind of stoppage that yeah meant that the gap was gone again. That must have been frustrating in the car, thinking I've worked so hard to get a gap, and then boom, gone.
Yes, totally agree. It was like this. With the first safety car, to be honest, was not such a big issue, I think, because I think I was just about off the 1 second. Of course, it's still frustrating. But on the second safety car, yes, I got a bit frustrated because I was having already a 2 second gap or something, which was pretty good. And then, of course, I was thinking like, oh, come on, safety car, why now? But still, it's part of the game. I mean, you have to take this into account. And but luckily, I could do very good restarts. Luckily, I prepared myself well, so I knew where I wanted to start, and I could surprise a bit for Neroli, and then immediately create again 1 second gap, which was really good. So yeah, luckily I prepared myself well, and I could manage well the race.
Just wanted to touch on the restarts. I mean, you kind of mentioned it there that you were preparing for that. That was one of my questions was, did you think about that before the race in terms of you're on the front row? What happens if I'm in the lead and there's a safety car? I need to know where I'm going to go. Or is that something you think about when the safety car comes out and you just focus on making the good start that you did and controlling the race from there? What's the situation there?
No, it's something I prepared already before. Usually, when I do my preparation before the races, this is something I study and learn before I go to the race weekend. So I watch previous races of previous years, and I just try to think where could be the best option. And I thought, okay, T11 for me would be the best option now. And so I was prepared already. So when the safety car came out, I knew exactly from the first second. I knew where I wanted to restart. So this for sure was great because on the first safety car, I think I surprised for Naroli. On the second one, I think he was ready. He knew where I would restart, but still it went well. So yeah, the preparation helped me with this.
And what are you looking for when you consider where to restart behind the safety car? Are you looking for a slow corner where you can catch people out, or are you looking for the faster corners where they might get disturbed by the turbulent air?
It depends, to be honest. Right now, I was quite focusing on the T12, which is quite a, let's say, high speed corner. So I wanted to make sure I was carrying some good speed into this corner or like normal race speed. So like this, he can get some dirty air, some air wash, and then because of this, he has to go slower. No, so my main priority was this, just to make sure I am maximizing the grip available on the corner, and at the same time just create a bit of dirty air, so it's a bit more difficult to follow.
As always, Josh, we got a few questions from fans. The first one comes from Vic, who asks, "Were you expecting to win the sprint race?" So I guess what Vic's meaning by that, when you sat on the grid on Saturday, are you like, "This is my race"? Even though you're starting P2, this is my race to lose.
I was quite convinced I could win this race. When I knew that I would start P2 on the sprint race, I was like, yeah, this is my chance. I usually do good starts, so I was like, okay, if I manage this, for sure, I can get the win. And yeah, I was pretty convinced I could make it.
Yeah, for sure. You met Lewis Hamilton, and yeah, we saw obviously a video on your Instagram. We shared it on Inside F2 social media as well of you having a conversation with him. Would you mind just sharing with us what he said to you and how that conversation came about?
Yeah, for sure. Was a pretty cool moment with Hamilton. I think he was like having some kind of event on top of the F2 paddock. Like there was some building, and the entrance to this thing was just next to our box. The stairs were next to our box, so he had to go there, and we saw 10 minutes before Ferrari people coming, just clearing up the place so the F1 drivers can arrive without any issues. And so he arrived, and one of a guy of our team, he just went and said to Hamilton, "Hey man, can I have a handshake?" And he gave it to him. And when Hamilton was giving this handshake to the team member, he just saw me on the background, and I was with the racing suit on. So of course he knew I was a racing driver. Then he saw me, and then he approached me, and he was like, "Hey man, how are you? Nice to see you again." And he just asked me how everything is going, and I told him, "Yeah, pretty good. I'm starting P2 this race, and I hope I can get the win." and then he just basically wished me luck. But it was a really cool moment, because like you probably guys know how busy the F1 drivers are, and for them just to take their time, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, just to talk to somebody, it's just quite cool. So yeah, that was a really really cool moment with Hamilton.
We've seen a few of your former colleagues actually, Isaac, Kimi, for example, talking of their admiration of Lewis Hamilton. Has he inspired you in any way? Who were the F1 drivers as you were growing up that kind of inspired you? Was he one of them?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, my very first favorite driver, which I have in my memory, is Sebastian Vettel,
Okay.
because I started watching F1 when Vettel was winning with Red Bull. Um, and then, of course, there was a great rivalry with Vettel and Hamilton, 2017, well, 16 or 17, 18 mostly. And but still, I always admired Hamilton, of everything he did and accomplished. And yeah, he's a really cool driver, and especially uh, 2021 was really an exciting year. And I thought like, wow, if I would be in his position, this must be hard. And I don't know, I just admire him. I admire a lot of drivers, and he's just a legend. Like he's already in F1 since what, 2007, and he's still driving and he's still competitive. And I don't know, just to see him with red clothing is quite different. And I don't know, but it's a really cool. It's really cool and really special.
Were you surprised that he took that moment to take a couple of minutes out of his day, out of his busy schedule, to sort of give you that time? Did that surprise you at all? I mean, you said that they obviously are very busy and the Ferrari guys were coming and clearing the space for him, but I suppose that speaks to the kind of person that Lewis is, that he will make that time for you.
I was for sure not expecting it. I mean, I was like, if I'm lucky, I can get like, if I'm lucky, he can hear me, or if I'm lucky, I can get maybe a picture. But I never thought like that I would talk to him like 1 minute, 2 minutes. I was like, I mean, he must be so busy. I thought like he would just go straight away into the thing and do his stuff and then go back. But actually, he took his time, which was really cool and unexpected for me.
Who recorded the video? The video was from behind you, right? Was that a team member or
Yeah, that was actually my manager.
your manager, was it?
Yeah, he was just like recording, and then like then he was like, "Go, Josh, go say hi to him." I was like, "No, man, I don't want to disturb him, because I was like, he gets enough people around him all the day. I didn't actually want to disturb him, but he was like just recording just in case, and he got the video, so that was pretty cool.
That's a cool story, man, and it's cool that you got to meet him. So yeah, good for you, buzzing for you. Back to the racing. Yeah, as I said, we've got a few fan questions. We'll continue with those. We've got Selena who says, "Congratulations on your first victory of the year. Do you have any specific goals in mind, like achieving a certain number of wins this season?"
Specific goal, I think more like a personal goal is just to make sure I extract everything out of me in every race weekend. It's a bit difficult for me to judge with results because I cannot control what the other guys are doing. But for sure, let's say overall, for sure is to be on the front, to be on the top three on the championship, get those super license points, and just be there. So for sure, that's the general goal. But I'm mostly focused on just getting everything out of me on every race weekend.
And then we've got another one. So Kelly says, "A few drivers suffered with electrical issues this weekend. Did that affect your weekend in any way?"
Luckily, I was not one of the victims, so my car ran pretty well all the weekend. So I think my mechanics did a great job on just checking everything and to make sure there was no issue. But yeah, luckily I didn't get this issue at all.
Good, because that could have affected your weekend quite severely, right? I know there was a few drivers, Aaron, we spoke about it on the podcast, didn't we? That a few drivers that obviously suffered with that, and that's just such a shame for their weekends when you've got drivers who are, every weekend is so important at this level, right? That's such a shame for them.
Especially in qualifying, if you have these issues in qualifying, that's really sad, because like qualifying can define your whole race weekend, and this can define the championship as well. And I know there are very good drivers that sadly had these issues. So of course, these issues affected their race weekend, which is of course not ideal. So yeah, it's quite sad because I also wouldn't like it to happen to me. You know that like my race weekend gets influenced by an electrical issue, which yeah, it's quite a shame. But luckily, I think they could fix it now. On the sprint race, no cars had issues, so I think the this issue is fixed.
Yeah, we spoke about it on the podcast, didn't we? It's yeah. Hopefully, we don't see that for the rest of the season because yeah, obviously it's a real shame, isn't it?
In some ways, it's fortunate that there is a 4 week gap, as much as we as fans and viewers dislike it, and because we want all the racing action that we could possibly have. I mean, there is the mid-season test. I say mid-season, we've had one race. They've got the test in
Mid-season
Bahrain.
test.
Yeah, I know. Josh will be among the drivers on track in Bahrain ahead of round two, and they'll be able to iron out any issues in terms of that and testing for it, making sure it doesn't happen again, and just making sure everything is as it should be, which is a really good opportunity. But obviously, we'd like to see Josh and everybody else on track in China this weekend. So if you're listening at F2, send them to China.
I'm actually going to disagree with you, Aaron. I'd actually rather see F2 cars in Suzuka than China. If we're going to do one, if we're going to do one in between Australia and Bahrain, I'm up for Suzuka. Josh, what are you saying, China or Suzuka?
I love both tracks, but I think I would say with Suzuka. It's just a really cool track. I would love to drive there, to be honest. I mean, Shanghai, I also really like. It's also quite a interesting layout. I really like it, but Suzuka has more fast corners, so I prefer that one.
Have you done Suzuka before?
No, never, never.
Oh.
I've never touched Japan or China, never. So it's something I have to do at some point.
What about Sao Paulo in Brazil? That'll be almost a home race for you.
Yes, that would be basically my home race. I would love that. I would love that because that will get crazy. Like as you saw with Colapinto, where Brazil was basically Argentina.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure the same thing can happen with Paraguay because the Paraguayan people are quite crazy and they're really supporting me a lot. So I would have no doubts that there will be a lot of Paraguayan people there.
If we don't get Josh Dürksen in Formula One next year, we need Formula Two in Sao Paulo. That would be unbelievable for the Paraguayan fans. Aaron's obviously mentioned the mid-season test there. Is there any specific goals for you in the mid-season test? Are there still areas that you'd like to work on during the mid-season test?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think I still want to work a bit on. I mean, for Bahrain, it will be really critical the tire management. So this is something I want to maximize and extract a bit better on the test, just to try some stuff there. Try a bit also my quali pace because in Bahrain, yeah, you only have one lap because of the high tire deck. And for sure, also just try some other stuff on the car, just to keep developing the car and just to see what else we can find because all the other teams are quite strong, and we need to move forward, and we need to still improve because I'm quite sure the other teams will also still improve. So we have to be on the ballpark for sure.
Josh, the team aren't going to be drilling any illegal holes in the car for testing. No, that's all good.
I don't know, but I heard that in theory all the other teams were allowed now for the mid-season test to use it. So
Yeah.
I'm quite sure we will do it. I mean, if everyone else is gonna do it, for sure we have to do it just to not be behind. So I think I will see some holes on my diffuser. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be left behind. But yeah, good stuff. All right. Just finally, then your thoughts ahead of round two. Obviously going into Bahrain. Yeah. Is that a circuit you like? You went quite well there last year, didn't you?
Bahrain, yeah, is a track I like. I don't think it's one of my favorite ones, but for sure I like it. What makes it quite interesting is just how everyone will manage their tires. I think this will be critical, and I think this will really make a cool race because maybe at the beginning you think, wow, this guy is flying, I cannot catch up, but then at the end his tires are going to drop and then you're going to catch up. So it's going to be really interesting how everyone manages the tires, and yeah, for sure looking forward to be racing there.
We see it every year, don't we? The tyre deg in Bahrain. And any going for a one-stop strategy in the sprint race? Is that potentially on the agenda?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Depends on my position and if there's a safety car, maybe. Who knows? No, I don't think so. To be honest, I think it's gonna we're gonna try to survive there with a soft tire, and then let's see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Josh, listen, thank you for joining us. And listen, we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And yeah, hopefully see you winning more races over the next 13 rounds.
Yeah, for sure, that's the goal. And thank you, Fraser. Thank you, Aaron, for your time and for the invitation. And yeah, let's keep pushing.